I used to be soft, bloated and stuck. And I'll show you exactly how I lost belly fat without giving up traditional food like rice, like dal, like rotli. And we'll break down what actually makes you fat, how to eat traditional food smartly, and 3 actionable steps to stay lean whilst eating your mum's cooking. The first one and the most important thing you need to remember is calories make you fat, not rice, not dal, not rotli, not anything in particular, right? No one ingredient can make you fat. Amount of food that you're eating will make you fat. So if you need to eat 2,000 calories, and even if you're eating as healthy as possible and you have 2,500 calories every single day, you're gonna get fat. But for example, if you're eating less than 2,000 calories, but you're eating pizza and or whatever else, right? You're getting your protein in, but you're eating rubbish at the same time. You'll still lose some weight. You will definitely lose some weight. But the thing is, you won't be a very healthy individual. Your body won't be as good as it could have been if you were eating a healthier diet. So you need to remember, calories make you fat, not rice, not rotli, not anything in particular. As the same applies to traditional food. You need to track what you're eating as closely as possible, if possible, right? If you're someone who's making your own food, then ideally you know what you're putting in. But when I was younger, not even younger, like even up till a few years ago, my mum made my food all my life, right? My mum made my food, and she would just give me a bowl from the big pot that she's cooked for my family. And from there, it's very hard to track how much, what she's given you, how much oil does it have, how much of certain ingredients does it have in that bowl that you've gotten, because it's from a big pot. But as you kind of get used to tracking your calories, there's a bit of trial and error involved, and eventually you'll know how much you've eaten, how many grams of protein you've got, how many calories you're eating every single day. And from there, I was tracking how much I was eating, and eventually in, I think 2021, when I lost about 20 pounds or so, and it was from the beginning of 2021 until the end, right? But I didn't track anything. I just noted down my weight on MyFitnessPal, and that's literally the only single thing I did. I was still eating the traditional food every single day. Every now and again, I would have these milkshakes, these protein shakes. It was more for greens and things like that, like get healthier things in my diet, because I felt that my diet could have done with some greens. But that's the only thing I changed. Because I knew how much I was eating. I've got experience of tracking my portions, and that's it. That's literally all I needed to do. Track your portions. Make sure you're not overeating the amount of calories you have, and you'll be fine. Rice, anything traditional, won't land you in any hot water. It won't make you gain weight on its own. The next thing, which is very, very important, and something I only learned maybe like a couple of years ago, was protein matters the most. And I used to eat it every now and again, but I only realized later how important it is and how much you actually need. So a tip for you all is add eggs, have a protein shake, or even better, add a high protein meal. Eventually, I learned how to cook basically protein pancakes. I learned how to cook protein pancakes. The recipe's in my school community. If you join that, you'll be able to get it. It's free to join anyway. And it's a great breakfast, right? You can't even tell the protein pancakes. They taste amazing. But the thing is, that meal on its own would give me like 60 grams of protein in the morning, right? And then during the day, I wouldn't really be too worried about getting my protein, because I knew I would have some kind of meat. I would have some kind of chicken, or something that my mom made would have some kind of protein in it. So I wasn't too worried. But before that, I would just think, what, I'll have chicken. Like if my mom made a chicken dish, I'd have it maybe today. And tomorrow I wouldn't really worry about it, because maybe the day after I'm gonna have some more chicken. But I didn't really know that you needed to have at least 0.81 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So for example, if you are weighing 200 grams right now, if you are weighing 200 pounds, you would need 200 grams of protein every single day. I wasn't really aware of that until only a few years ago. But once I started doing that, my gains started going up a level. Of course, I got stronger, but it didn't really look like I went to the gym, like I still had that skinny fat physique. Or if you feel like, if you're really heavy right now and you'd want another way to try and hit your protein, another way you can aim for like the amount of grams is aim for 1 gram of protein per centimeter in height. So if you weigh 180 centimeters, then aim for 180 grams of protein. And I feel like that's better, because the amount of protein you're eating every single day is standardized. Like past the age of like 22, 23, you don't really grow. So say for example, for months you've prepped your meals with 180 grams of protein. You can maintain that for the rest of your life and not really have to worry about it. And the thing is, your gains will be constantly going because you're getting in a consistent amount of protein day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. So protein matters the most. It'll help you recover, of course. It'll help you make some muscle, help you make some gains, and that's very important as well. So the third thing, which is a massive issue in the traditional food, it's not any, I said before, not any one ingredient causes fat loss, but this one thing can cause fat loss, and it's oil. Seed oils. I'm going to make loads of videos on seed oils, boys, but just know this seed oil is the hidden enemy. All oils are the hidden enemy. You have to know how much oil your mum is putting in and what kind of oil. If your mum's using ghee, olive oil, avocado oil, butter, beef tallow, coconut oil, if I said that, if she's using them 5 or 6, then it's fine. You know what, that's fine. But if she's using like sunflower oil, safflower oil, vegetable oil, they're very, very calorie dense. They have no nutritional benefit. They're very bad for the body. They cause inflammation in your body. They'll mess up your skin. They'll mess up your joints. They'll mess up literally every single thing in your body. And the thing is, it takes about two years or 7 years for the oil to for it to pass through the body. And whilst it does that, it'll ruin your ligaments, ruin your joints, it'll ruin your skin, it'll ruin your mood. And you might even feel like, you might even be suffering from at this moment in time, because if you're someone who wakes up and you're like, you know what, why do my joints hurt? Why does my knee hurt? Why does my wrist hurt? Odds are you're someone who's consuming a lot of seed oil, and you're feeling the effects of that right now. So make sure when your mum's cooking, ask her to not put in that much oil, or just tell her to switch over to ghee, because if you're Indian, Pakistani, Bangladesh, Sri Lankan, ghee is very, very good for us. Ghee is very good for brown people, because that's just what their ancestors and our ancestors grew up eating, and that's what they've eaten for years and centuries. It's very healthy, and you can get it from most stores. You can get it from Costco, you can get it from your local corner shop, whatever you shop, you can get ghee. So try and get that. And the thing with oil is, if your mom is very stubborn and she's not swapping over to ghee or anything like that, what you can do, and what I did, was basically, say my mom would give me a bowl of food, I would basically drain all the soup, and it would just be a dry meal, but I would just drain all the soup in an attempt to not have as much seed oil, right? And the thing is, it worked very well, because it had a positive effect on my skin, how I felt, and the amount of weight I could lose. So oil is very, very important as well. And the fourth and most important thing is track everything and anything that goes into your mouth, because if it's tracked and recorded, you'll know exactly where you could make changes, or you'll know what you're doing. If you're someone who's not tracking, for example, like sauces, say you make a wrap, you'll probably track chicken, you'll probably track the actual like tortilla or the bread thing, but you probably won't track the sauce. Say you might have some kind of garlic sauce, you might have ketchup or whatever. You need to be tracking that as well, because a lot of these sauces are very, very calorie dense. You wouldn't think they are, because they're like about this big, but they're about a couple of 100 calories, and that couple of 100 calories can bump you out of your calorie deficit, and you might be in maintenance, or even worse, you might be in a little bulking thing. So you might wake up the next day and think, you know what, why do I weigh like a couple of pounds heavier than I went to than yesterday? But it's very, very important that you track everything, because as you get on as well, say for example you're tracking everything correctly, you're losing weight as well, and then you're like, you know what, your weight loss slows down, so you're hitting a bit of a plateau and your body's adjusting, right? So you might be at 1800 calories, for example, and you might think to yourself, you know what, I'm gonna cut down a little bit more in terms of calories, and I'm going to start walking a bit more, and then fat loss will start resuming, and the same thing might happen again. You know what, you might start losing weight after you cut down a little bit more. Then you might think, I might do a little bit more cardio. So it's just to keep everything, to stay on top of everything, you need to track everything. And it's very, very, what's the word? At the beginning, it'll be a little bit long. I can't lie. It'll be a little bit long, because you're not in the habit of tracking everything. So it can be a little bit tedious. It can be a little bit boring. But as the more you do it, and the more fat loss and weight loss you see, it's kind of like a game. It's more rewarding, because the more you track everything, the more likely you are to stay in your calorie deficit, the more likely you are to lose some weight. So yeah, make sure you track everything. And if you want to keep your mom happy and get lean, then apply these 3 changes which I've said, and join my school group for the full fat loss blueprint. I'll show you exactly how to eat, how to cook, how to train, so you can build a lean and aesthetic body. And it's free to join right now. So join my school community. Link will be in the description below, the first one. Click on that. Thank you.